Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and it's the last chance for all of eternity to purchase XRP at these levels. Or is it? Because I will tell you this, I've been in the world of crypto almost 3 years now. In November it'll be my 3-year anniversary in being invested in cryptocurrencies. And the whole time, let's say this, from the all-time high in entering the bear market all the way up to today, I've been hearing the whole time, you'll never be able to buy XRP at these prices ever again. Meanwhile, it's been almost 3 years, so look, it's at some point eventually somebody's going to say it, and it will actually accidentally be true. Now, is it today? Well, that's why it's fun to talk about, because I will share this with you, although I don't know and I don't make price predictions. I have never seen so many analysts. It's like they all just can read each other's minds, and they started opining all at the same time. Yes, we are on the cusp of another parabolic cycle for the cryptocurrency asset class. In which case, if XRP does what it's historically done in terms of following Bitcoin's price action, you've got a lot of time to purchase XRP at these price levels. Well, then you know what I mean, though, right? Like, think about 2017 from roughly May till mid-December. XRP was more or less around 20 cents. I mean, yeah, it was volatile a little bit, but it was not doing a whole lot. People got tired of it, this or that, so who knows? We'll see. To be clear, though, I don't have a financial background, and I am not offering financial advice, so you absolutely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I just think it's fun to talk about these things as a member of the XRP community and make YouTube videos. So that's it. Before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And if you've been enjoying purchasing XRP at these low discount prices, certainly discounted relative to its all-time high, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. And by the way, for all of you that purchased on the way towards the top and didn't have an opportunity at these types of price levels prior to XRP's parabolic run, to all of you still here hanging out, I'm impressed. I really am impressed. Like, I don't think a lot of people have like the fortitude and what I would call wisdom to see the opportunity in front of them. That's just my humble opinion there. Now, of course, I could be wrong and it all goes to zero, but I am Mr. XRP Bull because I've been researching this and understanding crypto market cycles and where money's sloshing around the world in general for years at this point, and I could not be more confident. And in fact, so I've got articles I want to share with you from Analyst, and I'm going to, but I got to mention something one more time. I talked about this yesterday, but my gosh, this was amazing. So you guys remember this headline here? Bitcoin CEO, MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor explains his $425 million bet on Bitcoin. So this is a guy that started a company named MicroStrategy when he was 24. He's now 55. And started it from scratch. And I can't remember how big, it might have said in this article, I think is it a multi-billion-dollar company? Well, this will help put it in perspective. They had an IPO. You're not a small company if you have an IPO. So I believe it was a multi-billion-dollar company. I know I read it. I just, for some reason, I can't recall off the top of my head. It's probably in here. It doesn't matter. The point is, this is a massive company. It's a publicly traded company, and this guy's actually still running it after all these years, actually. And so... he, along with his team, decided, and he was the one that started pushing for it, they decided to purchase Bitcoin. They had $500 million in cash just like hanging out on the balance sheet. And like, what are all the things that we could do with this? You know, it's like we could build there's a lot of room for activities in the conference room. You could build bunk beds, you could build like a tree fort. There's all sorts of like fun things you could do with it, but they decided to put it all in the Bitcoin instead, right? Almost all of it, anyway. And you know what the reason was? The reason I want to talk about this again is because it absolutely has everything to do with why I'm confident in investing in XRP. Everything to do with it. I saw a video today while I was walking my pet peeve, which is my 5-year-old terrier mix. She's adorable. We had a long walk, about an hour and a half, a long enough to watch an entire podcast between Michael Saylor here, who, again, is the CEO of MicroStrategy, speaking with Anthony Pompliano, who is like mega Bitcoin bull. I'm sure many of you are aware of who he is. So I watched a video of his, and he was talking about the rationale, and oh my God, it's so in line with the type of stuff that I've been saying on this channel for so long. It's like, where do you see the money going? What do you think is happening with the dollar being printed into oblivion. This is exactly what he was talking about. And so they were like, where could we put this? Because their company's they've been doing very well, and they've actually been doing even better since the pandemic, just because of the nature of their business. I won't get into it all, but they had this absurd amount of money, and they're like, so what do we do with it? And they're like, okay, where are we going to put it? We can do stock buybacks, but that can take time, and based on how much money they had, that could take 4 years. And then he started talking about how, effectively, if you're talking about 2% inflation per year, you're talking about like $10 million, and you're losing in purchase power per year. But it's actually worse than that, because inflation is probably going to be higher. And then if you look at where the money's actually going and the appreciation of other assets, there's such an opportunity cost that it's ridiculous to hang on to the cash and wait for that to happen. And he's like, well, you can put it in commercial real estate, except for all of those prices are at pre-pandemic levels or higher. The commercial real estate, mind you, businesses are like fleeing major cities and going out of business. Meanwhile, commercial real estate at high. So, like, why would we pay a premium? Where are we going to do this? And so that kind of got him going down the path of where can we put our funds into something that, that's scarce, because he's all about scarcity. And so this is why. So that's what got him going down the path with Bitcoin. And it's got the greatest track record, which is why they, as a publicly traded company, felt the most comfortable throwing it into that as opposed to an altcoin like XRP or anything else. I totally get that. But I do believe eventually, as the asset class continues to mature, there will be additional clear leaders. And to me, it's already clear. Like, XRP is being adopted, so, I mean, unless something weird happens, it's going to be here. But that's why I would suspect that other companies are going to follow suit and ultimately purchase XRP and other cryptos that are likely to have staying power. And there are a lot of reasons. I mean, it was such an interesting video. You should watch it if you have time. Just search for Anthony Pompliano on the YouTubes, and you can find his video. It's one of his most recent ones. So I won't go through everything, but the reason I wanted to highlight this is because XRP is provably scarce. At its peak, there were 100 billion XRP, and there's less now because, well, of course, people lose keys, so you could maybe count that as lost XRP. They lose their private keys. Happens with Bitcoin also. But it's also deflationary. You get a little bit of burnt XRP with every single transaction, right? And so it's like, where do you want to put your money? Well, certainly keeping it in cash is a bad idea. Not that, I mean, look, it makes sense to have a certain amount of emergency funds. Totally cool. Respect that. No problem. But if all you're doing is hoarding cash rather than investing in inflation hedge assets, that's kind of a mistake. So what could you invest in? I mean, of course, there's always real estate. There's a finite amount of land. You could argue that there's a bubble right now. Fine. There's gold. There's silver. There's stocks, which probably bubble territory. And then there's cryptocurrency, which does not seem to be in a bubble as far as I can tell. It's a minuscule asset class. It's the smallest asset class on the entire planet right here. And it's certainly not going anywhere. And what's interesting, so as the government continues to print dollar bills, you're losing your purchasing power. You're absolutely losing it. And so what are the people that are in the know doing? What are the rich people doing? You think they're hoarding a bunch of cash? No. They're investing in inflation hedge assets, which is exactly what they were talking about on this particular video. And it was so interesting because this MicroStrategy CEO, he ended up researching stuff that people in the world of crypto were saying, including Anthony Pompliano, which is how he ended up ultimately getting in there. So his whole board and everything, their CFO, everybody on their accounting team, they were all just getting together and say, okay, researching, so they're given homework assignments of you must watch this Bitcoin debate with Peter Schiff and Eric Voorhees, who is a Shapeshift CEO, which is a cryptocurrency exchange. They were really diving into crypto. And the conclusion they came into after researching everything, you know what it was? Their conclusion was, we need to put hundreds of millions of dollars into Bitcoin. Think about that. And it took them months and months to come to this conclusion ultimately. And it wasn't something dumb on a whim. And these are not stupid people. This asset class is not going away, period. And so I just wanted to point out because I know many of you, probably most of you, are invested in multiple cryptocurrencies. So maybe you're mostly interested in XRP. You might happen to be, which is the case with me. But I think there will be a number of winners here. And I think that XRP ultimately is going to be one of those winners because I believe that utility matters and will win the day. And I believe that it's scarce. And so, while Anthony Pompliano would state, it's basically, it's a fixed system, and it's the way he words it. It's like, I don't want to do him injustice here, and I'm not trying to. I wouldn't, because I like Anthony Pompliano. In fact, I agree with him on just about everything. But you'd be surprised because he's a Bitcoin maxi, but we agree on almost everything, and I learned that after watching enough from him. But he was just talking about this idea that it's kind of like a rigged system, in that the rich people, because they have their money like tied up in assets, inflation hedge assets, whether it's real estate or fine art, whatever it may be, those things are scarce. And so relative to the dollar, which gets printed into oblivion, that pushes. So when they print more dollars, the people that have own a bunch of other stuff, especially if it's something that's finite, whether it's land, whatever it is, that becomes more value. Like, it'll take more dollars to purchase that, right? And so the people that just have dollars, they've just lost value. And so, I'm not going to argue that it's some sort of thing where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, because, and he actually does argue that. I won't go that far, because there is such a thing as upward mobility. Now, as far as what he states, as far as it being a feature rather than a bug of the system, I agree with that. But my approach is a little bit more nuanced, in that it is absolutely the case that there is upward mobility. And so I think, and also ultimately, there is such a thing as the importance of personal responsibility as well. And so I'm seeing all of this, though. And so as an XRP holder who continues to purchase at these levels, and I don't know how long I'm going to be able to purchase at these levels, and so I'm currently purchasing every single day. And at some point, there will be a point where, once this thing goes parabolic, and some people are calling for $1 XRP by the end of the year, I don't know if that's going to happen. But there's going to come a point where, the levels that you are able to purchase at now, you will not see again. And I don't know if it's going to go way lower first. I literally am admitting I do not know. But I'm firmly confident, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, that eventually it's going to be worth substantially more than it is today. And so, in timeline aside, I think the most important thing for people to understand is that the asset class, plain and simple, is going to be here. It is not going away. There is real utility to be had here. You can do things with cryptocurrencies that are impossible without this technology existing. So, of course, that's real value. And, of course, as a result of there being real value, there should be a market price attached to it. It's pretty reasonable. So, and I'll dig in. So I wanted to share a little bit of price information in this video. I do some stuff from Analyst here. In the short term, what people are saying is this might be a bull trap. Here's a piece from newsbtc.com. This signal could suggest the latest Bitcoin rally was a bull trap. I like this picture. It's like this guy's trying to get some money. He's going to get trapped in this box, though little does he know. Bitcoin price rebounded hard from $10,000 and in a flash already found itself back above $11,000. Thus far, the key level couldn't hold, and now signs are appearing that could suggest the rally was nothing more than a bull trap and retest of resistance turned support. And oh my gosh, I selfishly hope this is true, because I think if Bitcoin tanks, that XRP will tank, and I selfishly want that to happen in the short term so that I can purchase more cheaper. Of course, long term, no, I don't want a low XRP. I want it to be worth just a ridiculous amount of money. That would be super duper here. But in the short term, no, if I could get it even cheaper, I will absolutely take that. Anyway, this week, Bitcoin blasted back above $11,000, but failed to hold the critical zone as it did the last time the cryptocurrency had a stretch of intended intraday upside. At the top of the recent rise, however, the TD sequential indicator has perfected a TD9 sell setup. A 9 setup is perfected when the 9 candle reaches higher than its previous candle closes, and imperfect setups are less reliable but can still result in a drop. They're going to talk about who the tool is designed by. But anyway, the signal appearing at the height of a retest of a support turned resistance could suggest that the latest rally is a bull trap and more downside is next for the cryptocurrency. Which is interesting because I'd mostly been hearing from other analysts prior to that it's more like what was resistance is now support, right? And so this is kind of the inverse of that. But we'll see, though, because, again, I still am seeing most analysts thinking that even if there is this next leg down in terms of price action, probably still going to go up. Here is analyst Dennis Surachuk with You Today, crypto media outlet You Today, And he had this piece titled, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP Price Analysis. Can Bitcoin and XRP keep up with Ethereum's growth? Well, in the short term, the whole market moves to, or not in the short term, in the midterm, I don't know if long term would be right, but in the midterm, the whole market moves together. That's what I'd say. The short term, it looks like it doesn't. And in the long term, it will, unless we mature to a point where people are parsing out sufficiently the differences between cryptocurrencies. But anyway, as far as XRP USD, yesterday during the day, the XRP price consolidated for a long time at the 2-hour EMA 55 level, and late at night, buyers managed to form a powerful bullish impulse that broke through the 25-cent resistance and set a 2-week high at 25.8 cents. However, the XRP price could not stay in the high zone and rolled back to the 25-cent level in the morning. If today this level keeps the pair from the further decline, then growth will continue to a new weekly high in the area of 27 cents. So we'll see. That's the direction I think it's going. Either way, for me, I am keeping as little cash as possible. For me, I'd rather just invest in, of course, whatever you think's going to battle inflation, but just scarce assets that humans desire and are historically provable. Because even with crypto, you got over a decade. At what point are you going to say this isn't just some fad? I mean, come on, man. And so that's why for me, I'm looking at, okay, where could I put it? Because you could do well. Like, you could invest in gold, you can invest in silver, real estate, stocks, whatever, all of those things. And it makes sense to have a diverse portfolio. And I bet if you look out, whether it's 10 years or 20 or 30, I would imagine that the vast majority, if not all of those things, on the whole, would be worth substantially more than they are today relative to the United States dollar. But for me, what's going to offer the greatest return? My bet is on the crypto asset class. I think the crypto asset class as a whole is going to absolutely dwarf the growth of any other asset class. I don't think it's even going to be close. And I could be wrong, but just think about how much money has to flow in. And think about what hedge fund managers say. I was thinking just now about what Dan Moorhead said. He runs Pantera Capital. He's been trading nothing but crypto for the last 7 years. And he says, we buy things that look cheap. That's it. I mean, that's the best way for him to simplify. That's more complex what he does, but we buy things that look cheap. And then when they don't look too cheap, we sell them and we look for something else that's cheap. That's kind of it. What looks cheap right now? Well, Bitcoin, frankly, is dirt cheap today relative to gold, for example. And you could think about the potential in terms of that if it truly is going to have staying power of digital gold. And then what's even less liquid than Bitcoin? XRP. And XRP, and see, that's a good thing. Like, it results in a lot of volatility. But to me, that's a good thing because, yeah, you don't like it when it goes down, but that's the only reason there's an opportunity for asymmetrical gains. Don't forget that. The reason you can get, 10, 20, 30, 100x gains in crypto, it's because the markets are so damn illiquid. You barely have to put any money in to get this multiplier effect. So I see that. I know this is true. I know that inflation destroys the little bit of wealth that the poorest people on the planet have. I know all of this. And I see that XRP is functionally being used today. And it's this fledgling asset class. And I'm like, why would I really want to put my money anywhere else? And my answer right now is, I don't. It seems so crystal clear to me that this asset class is simply going to outperform every other asset class. And there's going to be a ton of purging within this asset class too. I'll certainly acknowledge that. There's going to be a ton of coins, probably the vast majority that aren't going to be here, perhaps even in a few years' time. I don't know how long it's going to take, but there's going to be a massive purging because you don't need a new form of currency for every business idea that's out there. You don't. And so I don't know how many you need, but is it really over 7,000, which exists today? That's a hard sell for Moonlab. Like, I don't think so. But for those functionally getting used, oh yeah. So we'll see here. But I could not be more excited. And so, is XRP cheap right now? Well, relative to where it's going to be in the future, I'd be willing to guess the answer is yes. Again, I don't make price predictions. I'm not going to pretend to know. I'm not offering financial advice. Is this the last opportunity to buy XRP this cheap? Well, again, I've been hearing this all the way down throughout this entire bear cycle, but it will eventually be true. And we saw that about the lowest XRP was going to get was 11 cents, and it took a global pandemic to get there. So unless there's something equally unexpected and shocking, I'd be very surprised if we see those levels again. Although if we do, I will be ready. And so I'd be surprised if we saw 11-cent XRP again. I'm not saying it's impossible, but that wouldn't scare me. It wouldn't matter. It's just part of this little bit of volatility that we got going on in the world of crypto. So, again, you know, is it really the last? Because when people are saying that lately, it's like, is this the last opportunity to buy XRP this cheap? They don't mean like literally today necessarily. It's more like, are we on the cusp of a true parabolic move for Bitcoin and perhaps broadly speaking, the entire asset class? And that could be true. We've been in a bear market for long enough, and I see just quite a general consensus among traders, even if they don't agree on every aspect of exactly what it looks like, that, yeah, we're pretty well there. And I just haven't seen a consensus among traders like this since ever. You know, and not since the bear market started years ago. No, I haven't. So I don't know. We're going to find out together, though, right? I guess I should wrap up there. This one probably went on longer than my videos normally do. So sorry, I know people usually like a little bit shorter videos, but frankly, when I hit record, I never know how long it's going to go. I just do my best to try and not go on too long. So here we go. Anyway, I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.